same time, he's also going after former President Biden's executive orders and pardons signed by the autopen on Truth Social. He writes, I am hereby canceling all executive orders and anything else that was not directly signed by crooked Joe Biden because the people who operated the autopen did so illegally. Joe Biden was not involved in the autopen process, and if he says he was, he will be brought up on charges of perjury. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Yeah, and you look at just the sheer volume of the autopen, 88%, I believe, were autopen. You can see it here, signed by autopen. 846 out of 958 total documents. 82% signed while Biden was in D.C. And as the Oversight Committee, James Comer's Oversight Committee has looked, he wasn't even present a lot of times the autopen was being used, which is why it's of course a startling frequency that it's used, but that's not really the point of it. What the point of it is like, was it actually authorized?
Yeah, the Constitution does not say anything about an autopen. It says things about the President of the United States signing things, but it doesn't say anything about a machine that is designed to make an imprint that looks like the president's signature. Doesn't say anything about that. And so it really does raise a lot of very important questions. And obviously the pardon thing, we'll get into all of that. But there are actually cases where the autopen signed documents, part of the signature was, as president hereby sitteth in the throne of the White House or whatever. And it turns out when you go back and you look at his calendar, he was not even in Washington, D.C., or he wasn't even in the United States when these things got signed.
Right. And to be clear, it's interesting because in the estates and wills and estate planning sort of realm of this world, there is never and also with, by the way, judicial orders, you cannot imprint via a vehicle your signature. Like, it requires your actual hand, right? And judges' orders have been ruled vacated because there was a stamp used instead of the judge's signature. But to your point about the autopen here, that the issue is not the use of that. The issue is whether the delegation of executive authority was in fact authentic, was in fact legitimate. And we know that any president can override prior president's executive order. So this, yes, as long as I think the sort of implementation is beyond just a Truth Social post. So the issue here in the pardons is squarely whether indeed it was President Biden's intention to have those pardons executed. We know the Hunter Biden one, sure, that's in a different pot. But the issue is whether in the cases of the autopens, whether Biden's mind was even involved. I spoke earlier with Andrew Cherkasky, the constitutional law attorney, who said that Trump can indeed terminate those Biden orders, but it's something else to say about the pardons. Watch.
President Trump has absolute authority to cancel prior executive orders, whether it was done with or without a autopen. So his decision and the announcement that he made actually is to some degree is surprising. He could have on day one undone any executive order that was done by President Biden. The fact that it was or was not the autopen is not even an issue that prevents President Trump from pulling back those executive orders. The more interesting question, I think, comes in when we start to look at the pardons that President Biden signed with an autopen. The nature of the text alone suggests that President Biden was just engaging, or his staff was engaging in pardons that have no meaning or effect when played out in the long run.
Yeah, letting out child murderers and recidivists, homicide. I mean, it is. What word am I using for that specific? It is appalling to see the individuals whose sentences were commuted and pardoned.
And think about how many lesser documents we as just citizens have to get a notary public to sign, where the notary is sitting there looking at your driver's license, watching you actually with your hand sign your signature on some, again, lesser document than the documents that this autopen were just signing willy-nilly at the direction of Lord knows who.
Well, and, some of the pardons that we know the autopen did were members of Biden's family, not Hunter excluded, but they're family.
He got the special one.
You got General Mark Milley, you got Dr. Anthony Fauci, you got members of the January 6th committee, so it's going to be interesting to see where that goes.
It sure will be.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.